Hey, what's up, guys? Tugi here, back again with take 2 of this episode. I just got about 5 minutes into recording this, and the game froze on me. I don't remember the last time that happened, but regardless, welcome back to another episode of A Nation United, Rock, Flag, and Eagle. In this episode, of course, we sim through the next season. In the last episode, we ended with a little bit of optimism. It was actually an optimistic tone to one of my episodes for once. Imagine that. Where there's at least a glimmer of hope for the future. It's not just going into this season expecting our great players to underperform and getting bounced in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Hell, we might not even make the playoffs this season. I mean, especially when you look at this team, not even close to being, in the top 5 teams that we've had so far. This might be the worst team that we've had yet. But like I said, I'm a little bit optimistic. This season right now is about finding out what players are capable of, who's worth keeping moving forward. You know, what can someone like a Pellick do? What do we have exactly with Ernie and Reimer? The goaltending setup. It's just top to bottom. NHL, AHL, there is plenty of opportunity, is how I'll phrase it, for a lot of these guys to take a step forward and prove that they are on the right track. So we are going to get right down to business because there's really not much else to do other than to sim. We're going to move forward. We will, of course, have some trades to make. I am going to sim up to December 1st. I could make said trades earlier. The AHL lineup, as we talked about in the last episode with guys like Keandre Miller and Luke Martin, they're going to be on their way out. We don't really have a use for them with all the prospects that we have down in the AHL. So right now in this episode, we could we could film. Okay, we could sim through. I'm anxious. I'm sorry. Like, I'm on edge. I'm like, please don't freeze. Please don't freeze. Please don't freeze. I mean, earlier, I lost power for like 2 seconds, and I'm like, oh, thank God I wasn't streaming or recording, and then I start recording, and this freezes on me, so now I'm extremely paranoid, and I'm sure it's going to set up a tremendous episode. But like I said, at the very least, our goal, it's not to make the playoffs, it's just to see what this team is capable of. What kind of progression do we get? Who is worth keeping? There isn't that pressure of having a Matthews, an Eichel, a Brock Besser on this team. Still, we have some good players, but there isn't that pressure of, my God, we have to win, otherwise it's just a waste of time, and what are we doing here? We've actually had a somewhat decent draft. We have a somewhat solid crop of prospects, mainly on the back end. We're still going to be looking for some of those forward prospects, and when it comes to the idea of trading for some of them, obviously I'm going to have to sit here and go through the entire NHL looking for American prospects, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So the game plan here is to sim to December 1st and then look at making our first batch of changes. Obviously, both teams are doing a little bit better than I would have expected. Just ever so slightly better than I would have expected, given what this team looks like. I mean, when we have someone like Trent Frederick in such a prominent role, you would expect that we'd be a wild card team at best, or at least that's what I would expect. Yet here we are, really just doing so well right now. It's the best way to phrase it. I don't want to say killing it. I mean, we're 15-7 really if you look at it. The AHL team's also doing quite well though. So, like I said, we ended the last episode with a little bit of optimism, and here we are. Now, okay, thank God, because it froze on December 1st last time, so that was the date that I was afraid of, but we made it. We are top of the Metro Division through 26 games. Didn't see that coming. How's Parks doing? 12 points, that's okay. I mean, obviously you have someone like Jack Hughes, and then Wallstrom's doing well. So that current setup is allowing Jack Hughes to just thrive, which is what we needed. And we tried to set up the second line in a similar way. Greenway with 11 points, 15 for Middlestat. Ugh, okay. Second line's not really clicking, yet we're still winning. 8 points for Frederick, 11 for Paling, 7 for Farabee. They're all pluses at the very least. We might have to address that second line. And the fourth line, Not much in terms of point production. Rintoul and Kaliev have been okay, though. So, third line's been okay. Second line's struggling a little bit. And you have to wonder if it comes down to the player types. I might change Tkachuk. He was a two-way previously. Could change Greenway to a playmaker. That might not be for the best. Could change Tkachuk. Well, then again, Mittelstadt's the playmaker of that line. I think just to get a different look, I'm going to change Tkachuk to a sniper, just to try and make the most of that offensive awareness. I wanted to see if he was still capable of doing that as a power forward. The answer is apparently no. Defensively, okay from our top pairing. Hello, Quinn Hughes, and hello, Roger Reimer. What a pairing that is. Pelech and Ernie, though, not working out, which is a little bit of a problem, because, again, we have Max Gilden ready to go, but we don't really have anywhere for Pelech to play. I mean, again, 2 medium elites, 2 low elites, and 2 medium top fours. It's not an ideal situation to have to move anybody. So we might just, I mean, Hughes and Reimer are going to stay. Werenski and McAvoy haven't been terrible. You know, I might go with that little setup right there. Might not be the worst thing in the world. Obviously, it's tough to want to make some lineup changes when we're winning, but we can at least do something to try and spark this team. Brent Timmins has been great, and Dustin Wolf has been great too, so at least I know I made the right choice in terms of a backup goaltender. So let me change Tkachuk over to a sniper, try to get his offensive game clicking a little bit better, a little bit more, firing on all cylinders, as they say. And we have a couple of minor trades to make. It might also be worth scouting out some of the forward options that we have available to us. Again, I have a feeling that there would have been some players on the free agent list that might have been eligible for us, that, of course, we just couldn't see what their nationality was. If there's not, then there's always draft picks, and we can continue, in a way, pick hoarding. But we'll see what happens. So someone like Caden Primo, and then I think it's 4 defensemen in the AHL that are healthy scratches right now. We don't have injuries on in this series, so I mean, as it is, I was going to say, I don't know if I'm necessarily I don't know necessarily if I've pick hoarded in terms of draft picks, but yeah, now you might be able to say that we have. So let's see, Caden Primo has to go, and from there, man, we still have Chip Chura too. I forgot all about him between last episode and this one, and it's that trio right there. Gilden is farther along, I should say. Well, yeah, he's got the physicality. Yeah, Samuelson, the offensive awareness is just too low. So no doubt Gilden's the best guy for that spot. It's just whether or not we can get it to work. So those are the 5 that I want to get rid of. I guess my big question is whether or not there are any American prospects that have any sort of value whatsoever. The answer is probably no, but go figure that there's a South Korean. Sanderson, who admittedly I passed up on acquiring before, thinking he wasn't going to develop. I might have been wrong on that. He's looking pretty good, actually. Can we rectify that mistake? Oh, let's see. Anaheim. Okay, Anaheim can't take goaltenders. Here's the problem with Samuelson. That's a first-round pick right there. That's a first-round pick because they don't want to trade him, and that's the problem that we're going to run into, is, of course, having to... Oh, my God, I can't think right now. It really threw me off recording this for the first attempt and having it freeze in 5 minutes. It really threw me off my game. You know what I'm trying to say. I don't know if it's necessarily worth giving up a first-round pick for that. Might be, though. For Toronto... I mean, obviously a first-round pick from the Leafs, that's not going to work, but can I mean, that's way too much, I know. I'm just trying to see if it's close. How about just the second? You know what? I'll take that. We might have been able to get a little bit more back. We just send a bunch of depth that we can't even use to Toronto. And I kind of like that trade. I think we're good. Might have been able to get a little bit more back. I'm not really afraid of giving up anybody that we happen to get rid of, but the big question now is just what do we do? I think I'm going to wait to see how the new look defense works now that we've made those changes. And offensive-wise, we'll also see what's up. But, man, Redmond's up to a 77. He's going to be good. He is going to be good for next season, though. Not this year. So I think what I'm going to do is if I decide to go out and get anybody, it'll be at the next year's draft. So this upcoming draft, Benton Moss is already on waivers. I'm going to claim him. I'll just trade him again. It's fine by me. I'll take it. That's an extra draft pick. Thank you, Toronto. I'd rather go through all of those extra picks at the draft, because then at least we know with the draft picks that we have already and some of the prospects that we could flip things around if we had to. And it's just easier as opposed to stopping mid-episode, being like, hey, let me jump cut and take 15 minutes to freaking scroll through. It wouldn't be 15 minutes, but still, you get the point. I don't exactly want to give up any of the draft picks that we have right now to go out and get prospects that are actually eligible. We will wait until the draft to do so. Question is, when will the draft be? Because we're not exactly in a spot where we have to be desperate to acquire these prospects. If we continue playing at this rate, things might be okay. Now, I'm going to answer this question now. I don't plan on going out and adding anybody at the deadline. There's no reason to. Why would we? After all of the players that we've had on this team, the way we've had this team set up over the past few years, there would really be no point. We're just going to let this team go. We're going to see what they can do. If we miss out, so be it. If we make the playoffs, hey, whatever happens, happens. Let's take a look, though, at the team as it stands. So Parks is only on 15 points. Hughes, 17 goals, 15 assists, and Wallstrom's doing all right as well. Minus, though. They are a minus. There we go. Jordan Greenway up to 20 points, 13 goals, 20 points for Middlestat. All right, they don't really have a goal scorer on that line, though. Well, that's Greenway. Greenway they do. Never mind. They didn't prior to Greenway. I think we're okay. So I can't remove Greenway. At least I wouldn't want to. I could swap Tkachuk and Parks, though. Parks isn't exactly working on that top line. Frederick's been okay. Paling has been great. And then Farabee has just been, eh. So I could, let's see, 6 and 8. I mean, yeah, I'd rather leave Parks there. Parks hasn't been that much worse than Tkachuk, but I have to wonder if Tkachuk, Hughes, Wallstrom, and then Greenway, Parks, Middlestat's the better way to go. I'll leave it for now. Fourth line, aside from Bertuzzi, who's just been kind of meh, they're at least putting up points. It's a shame that Johnny Bertuzzi is going to be one of those guys that just doesn't quite develop, though, with that potential. Defensively, minus, holy shit, Ernie. Okay, that's not good. You were a plus 26 last year, buddy. What's happening? Hughes and Reimer are still great. Oh, boy, what am I going to do? You know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put McAvoy with them, and we'll have Werenski and Pelech. That is exactly what I'm going to do. That sucks, but we have to do whatever we can to get Ernie into a better spot right now. I mean, he's struggling in a big-time way. Goaltending, Timmins is still okay. Dustin Wolf has been spectacular as the backup, so we still have Gilden and Norris good to go if we need them. Although, of course, I don't want to take anybody out of the lineup who is already there. So that's that. It's nice for that to be the tough decision, as opposed to, do I want to trade Besser? It's like, okay, do I just want to scratch a struggling player for a little bit and bring in another guy who we need to see really what he can offer us moving forward? Let's go ahead and sim a month. We'll try out the defensive changes, and we'll see what happens from there. It's weird. There's really not much I can say. I'm sitting here waiting to see how this all pans out, just like the rest of you, and how this team is going to continue to perform down the stretch. And whether or not someone like just someone like a Bertuzzi on the fourth line defensively, waiting to see the struggles of those players and whether or not they can snap out of it. We have lost more games than we've won this month, which is unfortunate, but we're still close to 30 wins. We won't be able to hit it in this month, but that's okay. Let's go Q for 2 weeks. Not that many Americans come out of the queue, but it's still worth scouting. We beat Boston. Can we beat the New York Rangers? No, we cannot. So as of February 1st, we're at 28, 18, and 4. Not bad. The Cleveland Monsters are killing it, which is nice to see. Let's take a look at some of those players that we had questions about. The Islanders are amazing. We find ourselves in third place. Wahlstrom, actually, our leading scorer, 40 points in 50 games. So Jack Hughes has slowed down a little bit. 19 points for Parks. 22 goals, 17 assists for Hughes. And the 40 points for Wahlstrom. Greenway's been all right. You know what? We're not getting enough out of Brady Tkachuk. I'm going to swap Brady Tkachuk and Parks. And I might even drop Parks. Again, he's on 19 points. Paling's killing it, but we need Paling on that third line. We need to kind of spread the wealth a little bit. I do agree with that. I could bump up Paling. I mean, I could and then play Parks as the third line center. He was initially a center as it is, but Paling's still putting up points. Does he have power play time? He does, and that would probably explain it. Right, Farabee, 14 points. Let's see, fourth line, Bertuzzi still hasn't done much. That fourth line's not quite clicking. So Bertuzzi, we're going to take you out. We're going to give Josh Norris the chance on that line. I think Norris is a better center. He absolutely is. And then third line, I think we're going to bump up Paling. We're going to bump up Paling. Greenway's still proven to be a goal scorer. Paling, absolutely proving to be a goal scorer. Who's the better center? Technically Middlestat because of the defensive ability. Although, I mean, really, I could bump up Middlestat to the top line again. That might be overkill. I'm wondering if it's overkill to have Middlestat and Paling on the same line, you know? Like, that might be overkill in and of itself. Maybe have Tkachuk, Paling, and Greenway? Decisions. What to do here? What to do? Let's keep Middlestat on his own line. I'm going to try this. So Tkachuk, Hughes, Wahlstrom, Paling, Middlestat, Greenway. Let's go with that. Then defensively, Ernie's still really struggling. Pelech and Werenski hasn't worked either. Ernie is up to an 84 now, though, which, I mean, yeah, you're up an overall point, but just, no, it's not working. I'm going to bring in Gilden. Let's bring in Max Gilden. We'll play him with Pelech. And we'll see how that goes. Which really sucks, but the only pairing that I can't do anything with right now is the fact that Hughes and Reimer are still doing incredibly well together. Not to a ridiculous extent, but still, for the most part, I'm going to take Pelech out for Gilden. And I'm going to leave that the same for the moment. Another month-ish, because we're going up towards the deadline. And I'm going to have to double-check if there are any moves worth making. Of course, we do have Benton Moss that we can trade away again. So let's sim up to February 23rd. We beat the Philadelphia Flyers to begin the month. Lose to Montreal. Arizona's a kind of bad team, and we get the win against them. We do have 30 wins on the year, which is quite nice. 31-win Hurricanes team. Yes, I'm nervous that this is taking so long to load. We beat Carolina, not bad. We had the scouting to handle yet again. And we will take a look at goaltenders from the queue. So right now, win-loss for the most part. Rob O'Gara. You are American, are you not? Yes, you are. Yeah, why not? I already have one defenseman that's not playing that I have to trade away. Why not another? That could be an extra low-round pick. I will take it. Yeah, if you could stop with the pausing and the such. Just get me to where I'm going. You're making me nervous, man. All right, 32 wins. 32 wins. I have no idea what the hell that was. What the hell? I don't even know if that would have picked up on the mic. I'm losing my mind. This is just weird. Eric Foley, I don't believe is American. I was incorrect. Sure, I'll take him too. Why not? I'll get all the depth draft picks. Just because. Although, maybe some of them are worth keeping, to be honest. As we lose to New Jersey, we're still going to stop the sim there. And let's see what we are dealing with. So we're in a wild card spot, but it's a very close race from 2nd to 6th in this division. Wahlstrom is still our leading scorer. Let's take a look here. Tkachuk up to 25 assists. Paling, Middlestat. Middlestat's really disappointing this season. Greenway, Frederick's been okay. Parks is, Yeah, third line's doing okay. And then Norris hasn't done much on the fourth line. He's played how many games at this point? 12 games, 2 points. Might be worth taking him out again, too. I'm really not impressed with them. Gilden and Pelech have been okay. Werenski's still a minus player. But Gilden and Pelech's been the better combination. So with that, I guess the question comes up of if we trade a Josh Norris for underperforming, just to get something back for him now, who gets the call-up? Because we have an Eric Foley, who is okay. I can see why he was on waivers. He's not really great at anything aside from skating. NHL numbers had 8 points in 59 games, which, AHL scoring last year, though, he was tremendous. And as far as our other forwards go, how's Yandel doing? He's okay. He's not exactly killing it, and I wouldn't want to put him on our fourth line. What about Dean Hines? Doing relatively well. Ernie, Thomas Novak's killing it. Right. There are moves to make here. It's just a matter of making the right ones, of course, and I'm not really sure what the right ones are. Let me take a look at the trade value of certain guys, and we'll see who we can move out. It's just such a weird spot. I almost just want to sim and get to the draft and make the moves there. So, of course, goaltending, we're fine. On defense, so we still have our top 6. O'Gara's going to get moved. Yeah, there's no way. There's no way that he's staying. O'Gara's going to get moved. Benton Moss is going to be moved again. From there, as mentioned, we have too many defensemen. I could flip one of the low elites, and if I were to do that, it would be Murphy, who's only a 75 at 22, whereas Pitt's a 77 at 21. I could flip Murphy and then just play Gilden at the NHL level and drop Pelech. I kind of like the stats I'm seeing from Murphy. He's not the most physical. Defensively, it might be worth flipping him, actually. It might just be worth it. So, O'Gara, Moss, and Murphy. It's not as if we don't have enough defensive depth anyway, so he would be the one to get rid of. And like I said, the big question would be forward-wise, and I'd prefer to make a deal with one of these teams that actually have some contract spots that we didn't have to rely as heavily on draft picks. Thomas and Lundstrom are both real, so that wouldn't be a factor. What about the LA Kings? Do you have anybody that I'm looking for? Suzuki and Eriksson, who probably isn't. I mean, come on. Of course, he's Swedish. Minnesota has plenty of roster spots, very little cap space, though. And they don't really have anybody. Let me check LA again. Suzuki, Aulette, yeah, well, close enough. French names, man. And Florida, just to double check, Thomas and Lundstrom, that was it. Right. Montreal doesn't work. The Islanders, New York Islanders, do you have anybody? You have Ryan Donato, because of course you do. Pierce doesn't work. Mishmash, I mean, of course he's doing well now that we don't have him anymore. $5 million is a bit too much, though. Michelli isn't that great. Upshaw isn't that good. Yeah, no other Americans. See, this is the problem. We finally started getting some defensive prospects into the living world, as we'll call it. But in terms of forwards, it's just not there yet, and it sucks. Yeah, there's not much we can do. So I think we're still looking for draft picks. Let me see if I can work out a deal with the New York Islanders. I know that they're kind of, strapped for cash, but we should be okay. As you can probably hear the dog barking, must be a cat or a squirrel, because that's what she does. Can I get your first round pick for all this? I can't. It was worth a shot at least. We're going to miss out, on Murphy's value here. I mean, why don't they want to trade their picks, though? They've won 40 games this season. That doesn't make sense. You'd think that they'd want to move them. What about Minnesota's first? Doesn't work. Doesn't work. All right, let's try second, third. Is that enough? Not quite. What if we take out a third? 2 second-round picks? Really? Really? I would have thought that'd work. I don't want to... I guess I got to settle for just 1 second if I'm lucky. A second and 2/3? I'll take it. We don't get the most back from Murphy, but what we do end up accomplishing is freeing up a spot, which is really what we needed more than anything. So we are going to send down Pellick. I do have to sign a veteran to a crazy deal just because we're so low on the cap. And I still think that I'm going to trade someone like Josh Norris. I just don't really have any faith in him. Oh my God, that Vancouver pick, and not only the Vancouver pick, that wasn't the only good one. Foley, you're not really going to play. That's the problem. I don't really have a spot for you. I know I want Norris out of here. And to be honest, Bertuzzi has been pretty poor as well. Maybe flipping Norris and Bertuzzi and calling up Foley and somebody else is the way to go. It's actually, yeah, it actually sounds relatively good. So let's trade Norris and Bertuzzi. They've both been pretty damn well disappointing. We'll flip them out of here, and we'll find someone else to bring back. We'll send them not to the Florida Panthers. I will live to regret that. We'll send them to Los Angeles. If I'm going to live to regret it, at least regret it in the Stanley Cup final. A second round will be too much, I'm sure. It wouldn't be, but they'd have to put Norris on waivers, right? Is there another team where this would work? Vegas, baby. Vegas, will it work? No, it won't. Vancouver, probably wouldn't work. Toronto, I'd regret it. Philly, right. Well, beggars can't be choosers unless it works out with the Minnesota Wild. Second round pick. And how about 2/4? Is that good? It's not. How about another fourth? How about just the second? Well, that was very weird. What the fuck? God, I hate how it glitches out. Just a second. We'd have to put Norris on waivers. I am willing to take the L on this contract, or on this deal, just to get it done. So, second round pick, and I will add a draft pick to this. I mean, because, come on, look at this. Fourth round pick this year. Like, I just want to make this so worth it to you that I at least get a higher draft pick back. How about our next 2 fourth-round picks? Fucking please? Oh my God. All right. Well, they're stuck here, but they're not going to play. I don't really have anywhere I can send them unless it's within the Eastern Conference, and you know how that works out when I trade within the conference, even for minor depth players. So let's get this roster set up again, and we're going to sim through the rest of the season in this episode. So goaltenders are good defensively. I need to sign players. Yeah, dummy, stupid, think. Gotta sign a veteran here. To be honest, it doesn't really even matter to me if he's American. I just need to sign someone for a shitload of money. We'll have it be a forward. Do I know if any of these players are American? Not really. Can we say the Australian is an honorary American at the moment? Yeah, Fitzgerald, I do know that you're American, so screw it. We'll sign you. How would you like a $17 million contract for the rest of this season just so that I can call up and send down whomever I want? Seems good to me. Of course, we have a couple of days here before we play the Philadelphia Flyers, so we might be able to get this sorted out before we have to worry about anything. Back to the States for another 2 weeks. And we didn't sign him yet. We are pretty well close to the Flyers, too, in the standings. All right, Fitzgerald's accepted. Beautiful. Of course, the deadline's in 2 days. I think we're pretty much good to go. We're just going to see where the draft pick value ends up being. Anytime I try to look at the standings to be like, oh, but if I move this pick for this pick, you know, we're pretty much good to go. The only thing, though, there might be... I'm stuck on Sanderson right now, and whether or not he would be worth getting. Because we do have some of this valuable picks. I want to drop these two down. And maybe just call up Eric Foley since he's not playing. I mean, we have Fitzgerald, who is just stupidly well-rounded. Nolan Stevens, not so much. Adam Ernie, I mean, Steve Spinner, not so much. Eric Foley. You know what? Fitzgerald might be the best guy. Or Novak. Novak's a bit more of an offensive guy. You know what? Fitzgerald, congratulations. You know what? I won't even send those other two down. We'll just leave them on the roster so I don't lose them for nothing. I mean, whatever. It's not like it causes. You know, actually, I don't even care. I don't even care. There's nowhere I can trade them. Fuck it. If I lose them on waivers, good. Good. Just to get rid of them. And I think I lost both of them on waivers, which honestly it's fine by me. I don't care. I don't care. Until they ended up on Eastern Conference teams. Maybe I should have held on to them. There was only so long that I could have held on to them. Well, you should have just traded them to an Eastern Conference team anyway. Yeah, you're probably right. But Norris was clearly an issue. So let's go best lines here. Whoops, double tapping buttons. And with that, actually, Kaliev's a better center. Kachuk, Hughes, Wallstrom. Let's go Greenway, Paling, Middlestat, Parks, Frederick, Farabee. I think Parks was a better center. He was not. It was very much Trent Frederick who was a better center. Greenway there. I think we're okay. I think we'll move forward in that manner. And Ernie will be with Max Gilden now, as we originally planned at the start of the season. And down in the AHL, it went best lines, unfortunately. All I have to do is put in Percy, and Nikop needs to come out for Watt. And with that, we're pretty much good to go, right? Although it put Cheveldave in instead of Pellick. Oh, God. Oh, hold on. Best lines. There we go. All right, so take out Mieho for Percy. And take out, not Cheveldave. Pelly should stay. Who's the best guy to take out here? Stevens. I don't know if I want to take out old Judd. Judd, I'm sorry, buddy, but it's time for you to take a seat. You're sitting so that Watt can come into this lineup, and with that, we're good to go. So let's sim to the end of the regular season, damn it. Although, you know what? No, I don't care to know where Norris ended up, and as far as draft picks go, I don't care. Let's just see what happens. I am more intrigued by the draft than I am by improving this team for any reason. Let's sim to April 1st. We'll see what happens with this team. We very well could make the playoffs. I'm not intrigued in making any moves right now, though. I'd much rather just get to the draft and try to improve this team once we get there. No reason, really, as to why we shouldn't end up with some half-decent prospects just a few short months from now. Really holding out hope that there are going to be some forwards available. But time will tell, and that optimism has burned me in the past as we're approaching 40 wins. We have lost 3 out of our last 4, though, and it's another loss. We beat the Vancouver Canucks at the very least. Our record is that much closer to 500, though. Yeah, we're slipping here. We might miss. Cleveland's going to make it, barring a miracle, but we could very well miss the playoffs here at this rate. Losing too many games, which doesn't really surprise me. And you know what? In fairness, and go figure here, we had teams that were better than this on paper end up being in the same spot, barely making it into the playoffs. So if we do make it into the playoffs, then hey, it's not the end of the world. As it stands, we are out on tiebreaker. We've played one more game than the Flyers. 3 games left in the regular season for the Blue Jackets. So let's take a look here. 40 points for Kachuk. Hughes has done well. Wallstrom's been great. Paling's been okay. His production honestly slowed down tremendously. Middlestat has been pretty disappointing, man. I got to admit, from 58 points to now just 39. Again, Kachuk has been pretty damn good with the assists. Third line, Parks has been meh. Frederick's been okay. Farabee's been okay. Fitzgerald hasn't been that great and really hasn't helped the plus-minus of that fourth line. Right. Just to give that line a different look. I'm trying to think what we can do to spark Middlestat. And I gotta be honest, I think something like that may just work. Hopefully. Hopefully. That might be the spark we need to get into the playoffs. Plus-minus wise, numbers wise. God, Gabriel Ernie, what a terrible season for him. Very disappointed after the strong debut season last year. And I think we're good. Let's see what happens here. We have 3 games left. A terrible month of March has absolutely put a damper on our playoff hopes. We're playing the 46-win Islanders, and that is a loss. That might be enough. We have to play the 37-win Lightning and the 43-win Penguins. What's the situation here? 2 games. Oh my God. Tied in points, and we've played 2 more games than the Flyers. We're not going to make it. There's no way. We are going to just miss out, which, still kind of sucks. We do beat Tampa, but Pittsburgh, they have so many games at hand. Let me take a look again at the standings. And we're still tied in points, but we need to win our last game, and the Flyers need to lose their last 2. And with that, we would be the 8th seed. So, Pittsburgh, just make it easy for me. Make it easy for me. Have us lose here. Thank you. The Columbus Blue Jackets will not be in the postseason this time out. We put up a good fight at the start of the year, but we just couldn't sustain it for the majority of the season. The Cleveland Monsters will absolutely be going to the postseason. I'm intrigued to see what they can do, but we are out, which sucks because the Flyers did lose Game 81. There was a chance that it could have happened. Now, one thing I want to do here before we look at the lottery results and all of that is I want to take a look at expiring contracts. Keith Kincaid, we can let go of you, that's fine. Werenski needs a deal, and he's not looking to sign an extension. Thankfully, though, he's not looking to sign for that much, so I am going to offer him just what he wants. Ernie is an RFA. He doesn't want to re-sign, though, which is kind of weird. I'll offer him. That's fair, unless he continues to struggle. And then Max Gilden, I'm going to look to bring you back as well. He does want to re-sign. Let's go 1 year, $1 million. He's still a good option to have on this team. Wahlstrom doesn't want to re-sign, which isn't surprising. He's not looking for that much, though. That's manageable. Joel Farabee is probably looking for a little bit too much, all things considered. 27 points. I guess $2 million isn't too bad. He doesn't want to re-sign. I'll sign him to that deal. No guarantees that he stays. Rintoul is 24. He put up 22 points. Not bad for a 4th liner. I'll offer him what he's looking for. Spinner. Great season at the AHL level. I don't know if we'd ever use him at the NHL level, though. So I'm not going to re-sign him. Hines, we will re-sign. Still somewhat of a chance for him to improve. Jordan Greenway wanted to re-sign. Let's go 2 years at 3.2, see if he accepts that. Parks does not want to come back. It's a cheap enough deal, though. Frederick, 27 points. I think I'm going to look to bring him back, but there's a decent chance we end up moving him. Adam Ernie, 54 points. Might not be the worst option on the 4th line next year. Maybe. I'm going to look to re-sign him just in case. Eric Foley, 13 points in 20 AHL games. Of course, we just picked him up on waivers. What's he looking for? That's not terrible. I think we'll look to bring him back, too. Prefer to go 1 year on that, though. And then Yandel, also not looking to re-sign, but he's an RFA. We should be able to get him. And then we get to Jack Hughes, who doesn't want to re-sign. Under 8 mil is okay. Fitzgerald hasn't been great. Not going to look at offering you a new contract. I can't anyway, technically. Novak has been pretty damn good. Yes, he has. Stat-wise, though, might be good for a 3rd liner, really. The shot's poor, but he still put up 18 goals. Might be worth bringing him back as well. Shouldn't have gone 2 years, but that's okay. Nolan Stevens, also good at the AHL level. We'll look to bring him back next season. Peterson was just okay. I don't need to worry about him. And then, of course, Redmond will have signed for next season. So, as we kind of, I don't know, season recap-wise, yeah, we'll take a look really quickly. Why not? Like I said, we're going to end this episode just before the draft. So next episode will be the entire offseason. Middlestat finishes with a, frankly, horrific 39 points. He is so much better than that. Factor in what we're paying him. I guess we'll just chalk it up as, well, he might not have been playing with the best players, but some of those players had more points than he did. So I don't know how you want to feel about Middlestat and his future here. Potentially, Jack Hughes with 60 points, I'm good with. 207 shots. Wallstrom with 66 points. I mean, I don't think anyone can deny that Wallstrom's a good option. That's better than Brock Besser really ever did for us. Career year for him. Great season. Brady Tkachuk would have preferred more goal scoring, of course. Ryan Poehling did very well. That's his highest point total ever. Jordan Greenway was okay. I think ideally, of course, he'd be in more of a third-line role next to Poehling. Like, we still need two great players for the top six, but when we had great players, they didn't work. Rodney, 25 points, not great. It's not a great season for him. Trent Frederick, okay. It's about what I expected of him on the third line. Same for Farabee. Kaliev, good season on the fourth line. Fitzgerald didn't do much once we got him, and Rintoul had a good season on the fourth line. Defensively, Werenski was okay. He's certainly capable of more. McAvoy, that's a little bit better. Quinn Hughes, good season. I'll take it. Roger Reimer, good season. I'll take it. Max Gilden was solid once he stepped into the lineup. Gabriel Ernie, though, not what we were looking for. Timmins was good. Fine season. As Dustin Wolf also had a good season. I know 24 appearances and only 7 wins, but of course that doesn't factor in if Timmins was pulled. The win and loss record for Wolf, not the best, but what can you do? And with that, we are good to get confirmation. Although AHL, let's take a look. Cleveland won their division. Not bad. So we'll advance. Well, actually, here, let's take a look at league scoring really quickly. Why not? Let's take a look at everything. We might as well do the full recap. We might as well. So let's see. Entire league. Edmonton's on top. Goals for per game. Were we up there? We were towards the bottom. Mid-table, but towards the bottom. Goals against, we were at a 2.4. Which was one of the lower numbers. Not bottom 10, but not bad. So our defense and goaltending wasn't terrible. Our power play, though, was the worst in the league. With some of the talent we have, that's very disappointing. Our penalty kill was at 81.6%, which was towards the bottom of the league. Mid-table. So special teams really let us down this season. There wasn't much special about our special teams because, you see, let's take a look here. Just AHL scoring for the hell of it. Just in case anyone was interested, you can look at those numbers on your own time. But around the league, 87 points for Draisaitl. So, it kind of gives you an idea of where scoring is right now. So, for Wallstrom to put up 66 points, I'm not exactly upset. Just got to look at the goaltenders as well. And then rookie skaters, it's going to be Evans from the Colorado Avalanche. Although I do have to wonder, Ottinger finished with one more win than Timmins in 11 more games. So, I don't really feel like we're missing out on much. The big question, of course, now, as we move forward, what will we get from the Cleveland Monsters in the postseason? And will we have any sort of luck, not only in re-signing players, but with the draft lottery? That's the last thing we have to look forward to here. Gilden accepted, Werenski rejected. I'm just going to speed through these. Quite a few rejecteds, which I'm not surprised by. Let me double check that. You know what? We'll actually double check it after we sim through with Cleveland. I want to try and get some of these guys re-signed before the draft, just in case we have to make moves. The Monsters are playing the Manitoba Moose in the first round. Let's sim these 3 games. Will the trend continue of a strong regular season and postseason collapse? They are facing elimination in Game 4, and they do force Game 5. All right, Monsters have a chance. Let's sim through this. Can the Cleveland Monsters pull off a victory? Let's find out. Nick Bjugstad is the Moose top center. First period, Hines gets the opening goal. Second period is scoreless. Third period, we're being outshot 26-13. Can the Monsters get the win? Oh my God, they do. Hines' lone goal in the first period was enough. Colton Gibson, 41 save shutout in an elimination game. And there we go. Cleveland going to the second round. That's what I like to see. They'll be playing the Rockford Ice Hogs. We will sim the first 4 games. We'll have to handle scouting. What a performance there from Gibson. My God. 41 save shutout in an elimination game. We take game 1, lose game 2, win game 3, and lose game 4. So it's a best of 3. Game 5, obviously quite important. We will sim the next 2 games. They win game 5 and win game 6. The Cleveland Monsters are going to the conference final, where they will play the Ontario Reign. The 7-2 Ontario Reign. Not bad. Cleveland making somewhat of a postseason run. Colton Gibson. I am giving you a lot of the credit. Eric Foley is their leading scorer. And I'm actually intrigued to see who the Ontario Reign have at this point. Why not? Let's take a look. Let's get a little bit invested in our team. Kravtsov, Jonathan Ong, Maxim Shushko. No real former, big name NHLers. That's the one thing I was wondering. Yeah, no, big name NHLers that have regressed or anything. Philip Gustafsson, though. 82 overall goaltender. That could be a problem. But we'll see. So far, so good from this team in the postseason. We'll see what happens. In a season where we expected nothing, a third round run for our AHL team, I'll take it. Let's get this series underway, of course, after we handle the scouting. Let's go back to goaltenders. Here we go. Game 1's a loss. Game 2's a loss. Game 3 is a loss. Game 4 is a win. We are down 3-1. Will Game 5 be the end of our season? It will not. Will Game 6 be the end of our season? It will. 4-0. Damn. Not a bad run from the Monsters, but they run into a brick wall of a goaltender who's probably a little bit too good for the AHL level, but a good playoff run for some of our younger players, particularly on defense. In the final, it's Ontario and Belleville. So before we get those results, let's take a look at other contract offers that we can send out. Let's go to all expiring. So again, goaltenders were set. Werenski, we need to get under contract. I'll give him the 3 years and we'll bump him up to $7 million. See if that's enough. We'll probably will keep him. Ernie. I'm not digging this, man. I don't really see how you deserve this contract. Oh boy, there's a very good chance I end up trading him. After how little he accomplished this past season. That's a rough contract to hand out. Wallstrom, though, at 3x5. A little bit more reliable, I'll say. Joel Farabee as well. We'll look to give you 2 years at 2.5. I don't know if I did that before. I think I did. We'll go up to 2.75, which is way too much for you, and you might be traded. Rintoul, let's go 1 year at 1.5. Any more than that, and we'll just wait. Spinner, again, same thing. We'll look to bring him back. I was going to look at his regular season numbers, but then I remembered he absolutely killed it. So 1.5, and then Hines. Let's go 1 year, 1 way, 1.1, and hope that that's enough. From there, left wings, Parks. Again, you're probably looking for too much. But at the very least, if I can bring you back and flip you, I will gladly do so. Why these players are looking for this much money, I have no idea. It's way too much. Jack Hughes, oh boy. Oh boy, he wants more money now. Which makes sense. You know what? I'm going to try the 1 year at $9 million. And that way, maybe next year, he's willing to re-sign for relatively cheap. And with that, I think we're okay. Let's go ahead and sim to the end of the playoffs. We'll take a look at the awards. And then we'll go to the draft lottery and call it an episode. It's been a little bit of a weird episode, admittedly. Like I said, I didn't really have hopes for the playoffs. Didn't really... I don't know. It's weird because I made moves, but it feels like I didn't make that many moves. I don't know if that was the right decision. I feel like it was. You have some players rejecting contracts, which is just absurd. I'm worried. I am worried. The pressure's still on here to find some success. Werenski's back. Again, I'm just going to spam through. The majority of players actually accepted. I think it was just Hines that rejected, which, go figure, one of the worst players. I mean, he's a low top 6 potential. I'd still like to get something for him. All I know is that the next episode is going to be pretty eventful, I would assume, as the Maple Leafs and the Ontario Reign ended up winning. All I know is that the next episode is going to be pretty eventful because it has to be. It's a big draft where we have a lot of high picks. We know that already. Of course, we had seen the trade value of those at the deadline. We're going to have a lot of high draft picks. There was a good season there for the Cleveland Monsters, 50 wins, made it to the conference final. Now it's just a matter of, can we find some success in the draft? Can we get a little bit of luck? And what happens this offseason? Are there any free agents worth bringing in? Like, what does this team look like heading into next year? Moment of truth as we have the 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 13th picks. So Dallas gets the number 1 overall pick thanks to the Bruins. They also have the 3rd pick. So we, again, have the 2nd, 4th, 6th, and 13th picks in this draft. Wow. There is a lot of potential there for making moves and rebuilding this team on the fly. I mean, whether making the picks, trading, whatever, as Ovechkin retires 12 goals short of 800 on his career. That is ridiculous. Goaltenders, just for the hell of it. Fleury retires, 11 wins shy of 600. Not too bad. It's a pretty goddamn talented group of retirees there, that's for sure. So, this episode has come to an end. I hope this was enjoyable. I'm not sure how I felt about this episode. Like I said, I was definitely a little bit nervous that the freezing issue might come up again. Again, it was the first time the game had froze on me in a long time. We didn't make the playoffs, but we did get to see what some players are capable of. And now heading into this draft, where we have a ton of draft picks, a ton of high-value draft picks, we have pretty much all of our players under contract that we could look to flip. We're in a good spot. This upcoming episode, the draft and the rest of the offseason, this is going to be the biggest episode in this series to date because it's make or break. We have to have success in the next episode to set this team up for the future. This is it. We're going all in on this draft. The trades that we could potentially make. Unfortunately, of course, the downside is the high-value American forwards, the guys like the Eichels, the Bessers. We've had them all, except for Johnny Gaudreau, really. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to find out. So let me know what you think, mainly in terms of the players that we already have, who might be worth keeping. And when it comes to the draft, let's get a look. Please don't tell me I have to make a deal with Dallas to try and get that number 1 pick. We might be making a lot of trades. We might just be making a lot of trades, although trading down could work. I don't know if I feel more confident with that or not. We'll see how this plays out in the next episode. Thank you guys for watching. You know the deal. Like, comment, subscribe, notification bell, share, follow, retweet, Instagram what food you're eating, and send a letter via carrier pigeon. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.